Before the walls of Erebor itself, we are here with the Erebor unit overview. So what's up guys, I'm PopeJohnPaul and we're here with, like I said, with the Erebor unit overview. So you guys are really wanting to see this one as we kind of like just go over all the units for Erebor and like show off their pros, their cons, like what their strengths and weaknesses are. And yeah, just show off these like amazing units. You guys really enjoyed seeing like the Isengard one, and so I thought, you know what, we'll show off the next one. We'll show off the dwarves because they are basically a completed faction now with the new Rise of Mordor update. If you haven't checked out the new Rise of Mordor update, I recommend you go and do so. I'll leave the link for it down below in the description so you can go straight to their ModDB page and download the mod. But we'll start off with the swords. We'll then work on to shock infantry, spears and halberds, missiles, and then cavalry at the end. So yeah, we'll start off probably with the weakest all the way up to the strongest, so you get a good idea of like obviously like what is the best thing to bring and like what is like your cannon fodder. So we'll start off with the cannon fodder of the swords, you could argue, but these guys are still pretty damn good. These are Dwarven Company here. It's a medium melee infantry unit. It has excellent melee defense, very poor missile block chance, very poor armor. So as you can see, its melee attack is at 23, its melee damage is at 36. I mean, it's still got like, it's still gonna do a decent amount of damage, and certainly to like lower tier like evil units, it's going to do a lot of damage for sure. And I mean, it's got 150 men in a unit as well, so it's a reasonably big dwarven unit as well, which as we go into other units, their size is much more reduced. Their morale is at 57, but I actually don't know if that is the case because they are probably like near general. So yeah, base value is 31, there you go. Their health is at 95, as you can see there. So it's like a pretty nasty unit. I think that's more than like most Urukai. I think they were down at like 90 or 80 was their base sort of value, and their armor is at 30. So that's much higher than like it kind of lets on with their luck here. They don't look well armored, but they've got 30, so they're okay. Melee defense is at 50, so this is a pretty good unit to put into shield wall and it'll hold the line for a long time like that. Speed is 32, so it's pretty quick as well from a medium melee infantry unit. No surprises there. So yeah, that is the Dwarven Company. It's a levy unit as well. It's like one of the few levy units that Erebor does have available to it. But it is still a nasty unit that can put up a stern defense early on. And then we have this unit here, which is slowly I'm seeing becoming the main unit that that players are bringing to multiplayer matches, and that is the Dwarven Warriors. This unit looks awesome. It's a lot more lightly armored version of the Airborne Axe Warriors, but it is still a really good unit. As you can see there, it's got like the they've got like the classic Erebor sort of shield going on, and they look really good. So yeah, this is a heavy melee infantry. Already we're on to heavy melee. We're on to the second sword, and there's already heavy melee. It's got excellent melee defense, good armor, average missile block chance. So you can see they're all green, looking really good. And its melee attack is ever so slightly increased. We're now about 7 to 30. Its melee damage is still 36. It's still using that same like sword that the Dwarven Dwarven Company was using. These Dwarven Warriors are just using the same thing basically. Charge bonus, well, I don't know why we would look at that. Actually, melee defense is lower at 46. There you go. So I mean, that's kind of surprising. I mean, this unit, like being more heavily armored, actually loses a bit of melee defense. Its armor, as we can see there, is up at 75, so it's already got some really good armor going on. This is a unit that does take a little while to kill, and it's still got 135 men in a unit, so it's still a reasonably good sized unit, like man unit, and it's gonna hold for a long time, with like morale base at 38. So it's like it's still pretty damn good. And as you can see there, with various other things near it, it's 67, so it's not gonna break anytime soon if you got it like in a siege. Its health at 95 as well, still very nasty. So yeah, with that health and armor, this unit is not going to break for a long time. I've seen Dwarven Warriors being used a lot recently in siege battles when the dwarves are defending, because it's a very cheap unit, but it's a very effective unit to bring, and it's still got a like missile block of like 45. So like if you shoot it, it's not necessarily going to die. You probably want to like be charging this with shock infantry or using pikes. But yeah, we'll move on to the next melee infantry, which is this one here. We have the Airborne Axe Warriors. I mean, this unit looks awesome. It really does. The armor looks just amazing. They have redone all the Airborne units, like this one, the spear guards, and they just look amazing. And the crossbows as well. These, I don't think they could make the armor look better, but they managed it somehow. I mean, everything just looks amazing. Like the shields as well, really nicely done. But yes, so as you can see, melee attack now drastically gone up. Went out to 43 melee attack, and we are now at 32 melee damage though, so we are actually down in melee damage, even though their melee attack is up. So these guys are using axes instead, so I guess maybe like that's kind of surprising that the axe like damage value is like lower than a sword, but there you go. Their melee defense is at 60, so it's the highest so far. Really like good armor as well at 75, so that's actually the same as the Dwarven Warriors, I believe. I think, or were they at 70? Yeah, they were at 75 as well, so there you go. So like for your money, you're getting the same amount of armor from the Dwarven Warriors as you are from the Erebor Axe Warriors. You've got to take that into account. Health is still at 95, their morale is saying 72 there, but base 43, so really good morale there. This unit's also not probably going to be breaking anytime soon unless it's getting to really low numbers. Missile block at 45, and it's at 28 speed, so it's a bit lower because it's a very heavy melee infantry. As you can see, we're already at the very heavy. This is number 3. And it's down at 150 men, so it's slightly smaller because we're getting more and more elite. The dwarves, the units get slightly smaller each time. So yeah, this is this is usually the common unit you see being brought. It costs about 1,000 like every unit. It's about 1,000, 1,100 I think every unit. So this is a very expensive unit, but it's going to give you a lot of kills if used right. But then the next unit we'll move on to, I mean that's even nastier. And that's these guys. The Mansion Reclaim is probably the one of my favorite of the newest like units. We'll just get rid of the HUD and just have a look at this unit. It looks amazing. Look at the artwork put into this. It's just awesome. Really does. And yeah, I mean their shields as well. Just look awesome. Just the detail put in the axes as well. Yeah, one of my favorite units for sure. But yeah, we will have a look at the Mansion Reclaimers now. They are a very heavy melee infantry unit. This is an elite unit. As well. It's tier 3, not going to be going anywhere anytime soon. Melee damage or melee attack at 51. That's the best so far we've seen from melee attack. It's melee damage is down at 32, so we're still getting a bit lower than like some of the earlier units that we saw with melee damage. So again, that's kind of taken into account, I guess, like up the melee attack, bring down the melee damage is they're balancing that Rise of Mordor going for. Melee defense at 50. So it's like, it's not as high as some of the other ones, but it's still pretty good. But its armor is out of this world, 135, health 105. So I mean, this unit is just not dying, and I've seen it in so many battles already. This unit just refuses to die. You have to charge it with cavalry, have to maybe like use shock infantry on it, or you've got to like send in 2 or 3 units like in waves almost to kill this unit. Like it's going to take a few units down with it. It's a nasty unit. And morale, I mean, it's saying 80 there with all the buffs, but it's at 51 base value, and that is just nasty. I mean, yeah, like this unit is not breaking till probably like the last maybe 10 or so men probably, and its missile block chance there as well at 80. So you can't shoot this thing to death either. So you can't like break its armor down. You've got to charge it. You've got to fight this unit. It's more than likely you're going to miss with your arrows. This is an insanely good unit. So yeah, this is by far and away the best unit you can bring for your money. You are limited, I think, to 1. I think you can only bring 1 per army. So yeah, you're not going to be able to spam this unit out. Like the other units like Erebor Axe Warriors and the Dwarven Warriors, you can just spam out as many of them as you want. And I mean, certainly like Erebor Axe Warriors, really good unit, and it's that you can spam it out definitely makes it worthwhile. Mansion Reclaimers obviously is that like last elite throw of the dice that you put in to maybe change the battle or to hold a choke point somewhere. But there you go, that is all the swords. So we will move on to the shock infantry next, and then we will move on to like further down the line. So I'll see you guys in a moment. So here we are with the first shock infantry unit, and as you can see here we have the Dwarven Miners. I just love this unit. I mean, it's the lowest like shock infantry there is, and it's still even a medium shock. It's not even light shock by the looks of it. It should be light. It's not even got any armor on. These men are literally just come out of the mines and they're ready to kill orcs. But yes, this is also a lever unit, just like the Dwarven Company. So this is going to be your cheapest unit that you can bring. I just love like the little candles that they have on like their helmets. They look really funny. But yeah, so this has got very poor missile block chance, very poor armor, very poor melee attack. So I mean, you do not want this unit to be getting like focused down by archers, because it's got no missile block and it's got very little armor. So if this thing's getting hit by arrows, units are going to start dying. It's why it's got 150 men in the unit, or 150 dwarves I should say, in the unit, because they can't like they need more men because they're going to obviously die. There's a lot of them that are going to die very quickly. As soon as this thing gets into combat, they're probably going to end up dying. They probably can't deal with a lot of mainline infantry, I was going to say, because there's very poor armor and they're very poor melee attack. As you can see, they were 23. They have melee damage of 28, so it's even lower than most of the swords that we've seen so far. So you're better bringing swords than you are bringing this shock infantry. This is really honestly just like maybe just a cheap shock infantry that you might bring if you just got a spare few hundred and you don't know what to do with it. I honestly wouldn't know what you'd want to do with this unit. But there you go. And then we've got melee defense here of 25, and yeah, again, not great for like melee defense. You do not want this unit like in prolonged melee, I'd say, because it's just not going to be able to defend itself. Armor there at 15, very, very low. That's probably as low as some like the orc units we've seen in previous videos. And then we've got health there at 95. So 95 seems like it's going to be a solid health, like just the standard health for any dwarf. If this has got 95 health, then I expect everything else up, if not more. Then base morale is down at 31, which is very similar, I think, to the Dwarven company. There, and you can see speed at 32, so it can like get around quite quickly, and you can see their missile block chance at 10, so it's really not going to miss anything. It's getting any arrows to hit it, they're not missing, they're going to kill. But then we'll move on to the next shock infantry anyway. We've got Airborne Axes here, so this is the next unit up that we're going to be looking at. This is heavy shock infantry here. These guys look really, really nice. Good melee attack, poor missile block chance, and poor armor though, so these guys still, you know, they're still a little bit like off the not as good as some of the other stuff we're going to come across. Put it like that. That's all I can say. But they have 135 men in the unit. So again, slightly reduced. Their melee attack is at 33, so we're massively like improving already from the miners. Melee damage at 39, so we're already looking better there as well. And melee defense at 32. I mean, shock infantry is not renowned for like melee defense. So I expect like that to stay pretty low. Armor is at 50, so we've obviously massively improved already. And then we've got health at 95, as we've already mentioned. And then base morale is at 38. So again, we're slowly improving. This unit's still pretty good. I mean, armor-wise, this looks so much better. As you can see here, it's a heavy shock. But apparently it's still got poor missile block chance, down at 20. Which I'm kind of surprised about, because, well, I guess shock infantry does have poor missile block, notoriously anyway. But yeah, this is just such a nasty unit. It's the best way to take out a shock is with archers. And then we'll move on to the next one. Here we have the Barrett Warriors. So we're now on to some of the units from the Iron Hills here that are involved in this faction. And as you can see here, they're very similar in like good melee attack, poor missile block, poor armor. Very similar to Airborne Axes that we've just seen. Melee attack there at 36, melee damage at 38. So actually slightly lower there in melee damage than the Airborne Axe Warriors. So I guess maybe the hammer. Maybe they're just thinking it doesn't do as much damage. Melee defense at 28, so we're even lower. We obviously can't really protect yourself with a hammer. It's pretty hard. Armor at 50 and health at 95, and then morale at base is at 38. So I'm honestly not seeing I mean, if you look at most of these stats, I believe Airborne Axe Warriors cost slightly less than the Barrett Warriors. Honestly, apart from melee attack, there isn't too much in the way that differentiates between these two. You better bring in possibly, I think you better bring the axes than you bring in the Barrett Warriors possibly. It just depends on, I don't know what you're wanting out of it. I mean, if you're wanting more melee attack, then great. But I mean, your melee damage, you're getting more with, ever so slightly more, I guess, the Airborne Axe Warriors. And I think you're getting more melee defense, I think, as well. Yeah, more melee defense. You've got a better chance there. It's an interesting one. You get a few. These two units are very, very similar, and I feel like it depends on what you are as a player and what you want to bring there. But then we're moving on to the more nasty stuff now. We're going on to the very heavy shock infantry, and as you can see here, this is a very nice unit. The Warriors of the Red Mountain. This unit, I love this unit as well. It looks awesome. It really does. As you can see, their melee attack. We're already now going through the roof in stats now. 47 melee attack, 38 melee damage. So, I mean, we're not much better on the melee damage than the previous two units we just looked at. So you're not getting much more for your money in melee damage, but you're getting a lot more in melee attack, for sure. Melee defense is up at 34 as well. So that's obviously slightly better. Armor at 60, and health at 100. So we're slowly increasing those ones as well. With the very heavy shock infantry being added, you get a little bit more. Morale is also really, really good at 43. This unit's not going to be going anytime soon. You're probably going to keep this till probably about maybe, I don't know, less than a quarter is left. I'd say like you're probably looking at maybe like a fifth of the unit being left, and it'll probably then start to break. Speed is down at 28. It's a pretty slow moving unit. Its missile block is going up, but it's still not that great up at 35. I mean, if you think of like the Mansion Reclaimers at 80, like these guys are like just a walk in the park for the Mansion Reclaimers. They do not care. Like that missile block is just pitiful. But yeah, as you can see there, just green for everything. Excellent melee attack, average armor, average melee defense. So it's a really, really good unit. This is like the usual shock infantry I see bring by most players now, because it's good value for money. We're now moving on to, I think you can also only bring 3 of them. So like that's the final unit. That's one of the only units I think is limited. Like the first 3 that we've seen, I think you can bring unlimited of. But yeah, here we go. So we have the Erebor veterans, probably one of the prettiest looking units in the game. We'll just like get a nice close-up with them. Look at that. I just love like the beard guard, as I'm gonna call it. Looks awesome. They've got like the dragon as well on their helmet. If I can just like sort of get a look at that. Let's probably actually better look from the other side. Just looks awesome. Really does. Like that dragon on the head looks awesome. The work put into these units just are amazing. But yeah, so we'll quickly go over the stats here, and again, we've already seen a massive increase. I mean, what was the last unit trained? Yeah, we're now onto elites now. So yeah, this is Erebor veterans being elite, and this is down. These guys are down to 100 men now. You know when the units are getting small that things are getting serious, and serious stats here with 55 melee attack as well. So some really, really good stats there. Melee damage not really going up. I feel like the hammer. Like, they just decided, like, just keep that base. Like, doesn't really matter if these guys are more elite. They're still using a hammer. They can't really, like, get more melee damage out of it. Melee defense up at 40. So, I mean, already this unit can, like, kind of handle itself okay, like, in a defensive fight. It's going to do okay in a defensive fight. Armor down at 50. Kind of a bit surprised about that. I would have expected it to be higher, but looking at just how chunky they are. Like, you just look at this unit. This is a chunky looking, like, the shoulder guards as well. I would have thought it'd be higher. Health at 105, so again we're seeing a little increase there. Morale, he's saying 80 there, but with just base morale is 51. So I mean, again, this unit is not going anywhere anytime soon. Missile block is down at 20, so that's come drastically back down with this unit. And also you can only bring 1 of this unit. You are limited to 1 when it comes to the Erebor veterans, but it's a solid unit. It's a really good unit. You can bring this as a general if you wanted to. I mean, you can bring most of the like the elite shock as generals if you wanted to. But yeah, this is a really, really good unit, and you can see there, excellent melee attack, good melee defense, poor missile block chance. So this is probably the way to take this out, just to use archers. You don't really want to fight it in combat because you can do well on defense, do well on attack. So there you go. And now we're getting on to the Dwarven Barrett Guard. This is the most elite shock infantry available to Erebor. And it is a really, really cool unit. I mean, these guys have capes. You're never going wrong if you have a cape. Just going to say that much. And you can see there, green for everything. We've got excellent melee attack, excellent melee defense, average armor. I'm kind of surprised it's not higher, to be honest. These guys are looking just thick. They are looking very, very strong. And you can see their melee attack at 60. We're already like pushing up now. We're melee damage of 39. This is an axe unit, not a unit using a hammer. And we also have melee defense at 45. So it's gone down a little bit from the Erebor, but you're getting much more attack for your buck, really, than you are. You're probably going to use this more on the offensive than you are on the defensive. Like, so you want to be bringing that Erebor maybe for more of a defensive battle. Then the Barrett Guard you definitely want to be bringing for when you're more offensive, going over the walls, and you're just cutting down stuff left, right, and center. I mean, it's not bad on the defense, clearly. Like, 45 is not bad for shock infantry, but you probably want to bring the Erebor if you're defending it. Armor at 60, and so up from the Erebor as one. So I mean, you could use it defensively because the armor's pretty good. Health at 105, and then morale, I'm gonna say, yeah, 51 as well. So it's not going to break anytime soon, and its missile block chance is slightly up from the Erebor at 35. So this unit again probably is like tailored to more of an offensive play, because you're expecting this unit to just be going flying in and storming the walls almost. But now we're coming on to the final shock infantry, which is not the most elite, but it is a unique unit, and it's Dane Ironfoot. Day 9 foot is exclusively a general unit. You can only bring this as a general unit. Can't bring it as a shock infantry. So I thought I'd include it. It's not the most elite. It is an elite unit, but it's not the most elite. Dwarven Barrett Guard and the Arid Mithrin, I believe, are more elite than it and more expensive. But Day 9 foot still packs a punch with his big hammer, as you can see there. Melee attack at 55, melee damage at 38, melee defense at 40, armor at 60, health at 105. His morale, I'm going to say, 51 as well. And his speed is well, down at 28, so he's a slow boy. But his missile block is at 35, so he can take a few hits. But most of the shock infantry will not be able to, like, shock infantry does not have good missile block. That's just typical of them. But I mean, this model for Dane just looks amazing. Really, really does. And I feel like this is the unit that kind of like sort of replaced the Grim Hammers in a way, because they kind of look very similar to the Grim Hammers because when they got rid of them. But yeah, this unit looks awesome. Dane just looks amazing. Really, really does. Done such a good job. I really can't wait to see like more unique units getting added. But yeah, there you go. That is the final shock infantry unit. I hope you guys have enjoyed looking at them, and we'll move on shortly now to the spears and to the halberdiers. So I'll see you guys then. Well, we're back with Erebor, and as you can see, we now have Erebor Spear Guards here. So this is a unit that's been remodeled. It's one of the older units from the Erebor roster, remodeled in that very, very nice looking Erebor armor that we've seen with the Axe Warriors already. And yeah, this unit looks amazing. I just love the spears. I mean, look at it. I mean, that shot, I mean, to be honest, with the Lonely Mountain in the background, just looks awesome. Really, really does. And yeah, so we'll go over the stats quickly for them. As you can see here, I mean, they're all in the green as well. Excellent melee defense, excellent armor, average missile block chance. This unit, you don't even need to bring the next spear unit that we're going to be looking at. This unit alone is a really, really good unit to hold a choke point. Dwarves' spears are just notorious for holding a choke point forever. And then you want to like use archers and, well, just anything else to really do the damage with. These guys won't get many kills, but they'll hold the line for a long time. I mean, melee attack down at 36. It's a lot lower than obviously previous units we looked at. Melee damage at 27. A spear, it's not what you use to really like get the kills. You use other stuff. You can see here melee defense at 64. Wow, that is so high. The bar is nearly full there. That is how high that is. Armor at 75. So again, you're not going to be killing this unit anytime soon. Its armor is really, really thick. And it's a health at 95, so we're back to that sort of like average sort of dwarven health. And then its morale is at a 43, so again, it's not breaking anytime soon. It's probably going to hold for quite a long time, especially if it's just being attacked like in the front. It's not going to be too worried. So only when it probably gets surrounded, this unit starts to think about wavering. Missile block at 45 as well. This unit, when you shoot it, you will obviously start to kill it when you get through the armor, but it's still got a good chance of like you missing with the shot. So yeah, certainly Erebor Spear Guards, same sort of price I think as the Erebor Axe Warriors. It's a really, really good unit. I recommend bringing this unit if you're playing a defensive game as the dwarves. Then we'll move on to the next unit here, which is the Iron Guards, another unit that like got added in one of the earlier updates, and has since been remodeled again. And for this, when the 4.0 update came out, so yeah, the Iron Guards, a more elite version of the Erebor Spear Guards, and this is a unit that you can use on the offensive. I've found, like certainly in the previous updates or previous versions of the mod, you can use this unit on the offensive. I've seen it get over 100, 200 kills on the offensive if used correctly. It's an elite spear unit, and as you can see there, green in just about everything. Excellent melee defense, excellent armor, good missile block chance. It's got 43 melee attack, so it can, that's what I mean, it can do quite well on the attack. Its melee damage is still at 27 because it's using a spear. Its melee defense at 68. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. That big shield, big armor, not going to be broken through anytime soon. Armor at 80. Again, it's just got such good armor, such chunky like shoulder guards there, as you can see, and its health at 105, so it's like above that average dwarven health, so it's not going anywhere anytime soon. And then its morale is at 51. Again, this unit doesn't break for like the last 10-15 men if used correctly. And missile block chance there at 60. You're going to shoot this unit forever, and you're not going to be killing it. You need to be charging, like getting shock infantry there to turn this fight around on this unit. Reminds me a bit of the mansion reclaimers for the spears. But now we're moving on to the halberds. And as you can see here, we have the Erebor halberdiers. As you can see, heavy polearm, it's trained. Like typical of any polearm, it's got poor missile block chance. As you can see, they're down at 20. It's excellent melee defense though, and I mean at 35, I mean I don't know if that's really that excellent, but it's apparently that is for a polearm. Armor is at 50, its health at 95, its morale is pretty good as well at 38, so it's like that's kind of like the around the average for dwarves. Melee attack, you can see 28, and melee damage 36. I mean, it's got pretty good damage, but you want to be using this thing defensively, not really offensively. You don't really use polearms to be aggressive. I mean, you can, but that's more pikes, I find, are the more the aggressors. So yeah, that is the Erebor Halberds. Then we have the more elite polearms, the two Mordorns. These guys here, they look awesome. All in their gold armor. Look amazing. 43 melee attacks. So this unit could be used on the attack, I feel. And also with its like missile block of 45 and its armor of 75, it's not going to be shot down anytime soon. I mean, it does. It will get like eventually get broken down, but it can take a lot of beating. And you can see their melee defense is 67. So this unit on the defense as well, you got a tough time breaking through it. Its health at 105 as well, so it's doing really well. And it's morale's at 51, so again it doesn't break till the very last few units, so it's a solid unit. Bring a very heavy polearm infantry, yes, definitely worth bringing. Only able to bring one though, but you can bring this unit to the general if you want to as well, strangely enough. There you go, there is all the polearms and spears. We'll now move on to the skirmishes. So as usual, we'll start from worst to best, and you see here we have the Dwarven Ranged Travelers. So these are like the kind of go with the Dwarven Company and the Miners in like the Levy class. What you'd probably bring if you had a low tier sort of game. You see they're very poor missile block chance, very poor armor, good accuracy though, which is kind of surprising. Yeah, these guys, as you can see here, literally have like no armor. If this unit's getting hit by something, it's going down with 15 armor, not going anywhere anytime soon. Missile block at 10 as well, that's not so good. 95 that average Dwarven health though. And it's melee attack and melee damage and melee defense, as you can see they're all pretty poor. 16, 32, 21. It's accuracy at 40 though, which I'm kind of surprised about. Like dwarves, I wouldn't have thought like being the most accurate of archers, but apparently this is good accuracy. This unit has good accuracy. I guess it's kind of like a ranger, like for the dwarves. So I guess it has to have some sort of cool, like some asset. But yeah, and its ammunition at like so its range is at 150, so it's lower than most ranges for like Gondor or like the elves, who have more like 200, 225 sort of in range. But there you go, that is the first unit for the range. Then we have we've got a bit more elite one now. We have the Archers of the Red Mountains here. A heavy bow infantry, and it has very poor missile block chance, still, at 15. It's good accuracy though, it's still at 40, but average armor. So that's really what you're getting now when you're like moving from the Travelers up to the Archers of the Red Mountain. You're getting more armor. As you can see, like I said, it's a heavy bow infantry. So that's what you're kind of like adding to it. You're getting 55 armor now, up from the 15 of the Travelers, and you're getting still that standard health. A little bit more in a melee attack and damage and defense, but this unit's probably going to die in melee attack. You don't really want to be sending your archers into melee. Range is slightly increased to 160 as well, so they got a little bit more range, so that's pretty useful. And everything else is kind of really like standard. Accuracy still at 40, like I mentioned. And then we have the what do we have here? The Airborne Axe throwers. This unit is really cool. It's a skirmish unit, obviously. Like you've got like the Pelargir Marines and stuff like that for Gondor. And now we have a Javi unit for the dwarves. So they obviously throw their axes instead of throwing a Javi. I don't know if they actually have their axe in the hand. They don't. I don't know if that's like a model issue or what. But yeah, so this, unfortunately, this unit though is medium skirmisher. So I mean, if it's getting hit by archers, it's going down. Unfortunately, it's got very poor missile block chance, very poor armor, and it's even got very poor accuracy. It's a very cheap unit to bring. It's probably just something again that if you've got some spare money lying around, you might bring, because skirmishes can be quite useful for like cav and pikes and well any infantry at close range. As you can see, their accuracy at 7 though, so it's not very good. Range is 40, so you have to get very close. I mean, it is an axe as well, so I guess you have to throw an axe. You can't be like too far away. And accuracy, I guess, going back to accuracy, throwing an axe is probably quite inaccurate. And like you see there, missile block chance at 10. Ammo is down at 12, and like your typical like 24. So you got half of what the ammo you usually have if you've got like an archer or so on. But there you go. And the final unit, which is the unit most of you guys know about, is the Erebor crossbows. This unit obviously being around before like the update. It's like just the like with the Erebor Axe Warriors and the Spear Guards. This unit was around, and it's a really good unit. As you can see here, good accuracy, good armor, average melee defense. It's going to do a lot of damage. Its accuracy is at 40, so we're back to that. Range is down at 125, as is a crossbow. You've not really got as much of a range as a bow. It's like armor is at 60 though, so this unit can take a beating in a prolonged melee, or like prolonged skirmish, sorry. So that's really, really good to see. Missile block chance at 35, so we're going a little bit up, so that's good to see. And its ammunition is at 24, so we're back to that standard 24 ammo. That's really, really good to see as well. And yeah, I mean, this is just a really good unit to bring. I mean, it's armor piercing, and with it being a crossbow, it's probably also really, really good. It's going to rip through armor of like more heavily armored foes, which is really, really useful. But obviously, you have to use this unit in certain ways, because a crossbow can't necessarily get the angle, so it's more of a good thing to use on a defense than an attack in a siege. But then we'll move on to the final unit, which is the cavalry here. Dwarves only have one unit cavalry. They have obviously really strong infantry, but their cavalry is really, really weak. Even though it's a heavy melee cavalry, escort mercenaries is probably still one of the weaker units in the game for like cavalry. It's got good armor though, good melee defense, and average missile block. So it might have had a little few buffs here and there. It's got 90 speed, so it's one of the quicker units in the like cavalry department. Melee attack though at 29, melee damage at 36. Its charge bonus is only 50, so I mean these are pretty weak stats for cavalry in Rise of Mordor. Armor at 70, so it can take a few hits, and its health is at 130. So I mean it can take a little like a beating, but if it's going cav on cavalry, it usually comes out second best in most cases. But yeah, that is the final unit when it comes to Erebor's roster. So I'm now going to probably do a quick like sort of overview, and like what I'd probably bring in maybe like a siege or you know, like a pitch battle. So if you guys want to see that, stick around for that. Okay, so here we are. We are on the like the army builder, or like the whatever you want to call it. You can have the whole roster here for the dwarves. You can see you have lots of generals and shock infantry available, and yeah. So I will now show you like sort of the armies that I would probably put together if I was playing like a siege battle. We're on Dale, but it doesn't really matter what siege battle. Sort of like what I would probably bring. Like I probably bring the same army for the dwarves, attacking or defending, whatever the map. So I'd probably start with probably like Dane Ironfoot. I think he's a pretty solid unit to bring, and he's yeah, an elite unit. You probably want to bring. I like bringing Dane anyway, just because he's a good unit. And who doesn't want to bring Dane? You're probably also gonna then just probably spam out because we're playing on 20,000 funds. It's what we usually play on when we play Rise of Mordor custom games. I'd probably bring a load of Dwarven Warriors, maybe 4. I'd probably then go for Erebor Axe Warriors. I think I said there were 1,000. There are 1,100, which is actually the right amount. And then I'd probably bring maybe some Mansion Reclaimers. I'd probably then go on to probably bring my Dwarven Barrett Guard, really, really good units. And then probably bring 2 Wardens, and maybe then bring some Archers of the Red Mountains. Just so I have a bit of like range. I don't really like bringing ranges the dwarves, but since they've been had archers added, I really like have changed my like view on that and think they're definitely worth bringing. Don't really want to bring cav, melee cav. I'm just rather ignore. I'll just rely on that the dwarves having really good armor, and I'll probably like just break through the lines with my shock infantry. And I'll probably bring like the Erebor veterans, because I really like this unit. Even though I said in the video it's a defensive unit, you can bring it on the attack as well. It'll still do really well. I'm just saying like maybe this unit over like the Dwarven Barrett Guard if you're defending. Obviously it's cheaper. You probably want to bring this one as well because it's got slightly better defensive stats. Then with my 200 like coins left, I might just upgrade my 2 Wardens a little bit and Dane a little bit, and my Mansion Reclaimers. There you go. So that's probably like an army that I'd probably bring on the attack. Actually no, I will change that. Erebor, let's get rid of these. You know what? I won't do that, because I would, if I was the dwarves, then actually bring, if I was on the attack, I would bring that. I'd probably bring an Onager. And then if I was on the defense, well, you're usually down to about 15,000 money then, with like how Attila works. So then, like, if I was defending, I would probably bring, probably Erebor veterans as a general, or Iron Guards. It doesn't really matter, it means only 25 in it, but I'm going to bring Iron Guards, I think, this time. In this scenario, because I think Dwarven like spears on the defense as a general as well, you're not going to go wrong there. He's not going to get sniped out when if you're not paying attention to what's going on. I'm then going to probably bring a lot more of these Dwarven Warriors. I think probably 6 instead of the 4 on the attack. I'm probably then going to still bring the Mansion Reclaimers. It's a solid unit. It just doesn't die. You want to probably bring that on the defense. I'm then going to probably bring... I don't know. I think I'm going to bring the Airborne Axes. I'll probably bring 3 of them because their melee defense is a little bit better. Probably then going to still bring the Iron Guards and maybe actually not that many. Maybe bring 1. And then I will bring some Erebor Halberds. Maybe 1 of them. Don't really want to have too many. I don't like to rely on pikes too much in sieges. I like to have other stuff that can do the damage if needs be. And then I'm going to bring some crossbows because these guys, put on a wall somewhere, they'll rip through the ranks. And I guess I can just upgrade my Mansion Reclaimers a little bit just so they're going to be like almost unbreakable. With their extra stats there. So yeah, that is probably like, it's just an army that I put together. I don't really play like the dwarves too much on the defense, to be honest. I wouldn't really know. I haven't actually played too many custom battles with the dwarves. I've only really done scenarios recently with them. So like our armies are usually put together already. But there you go, guys. I hope you've enjoyed checking out this unit overview. Hopefully it's been helpful and it's going to give you some tips and tricks for taking into your own Rise Mordor matches. And yeah, if you've enjoyed watching this video, then do remember to leave a like, subscribe if you're around here, and a comment to show your support. And until next time, Legionnaires, I will see you in the next one. Bye.